So it took a long time to get the script, the director, everything right on MI3. What was the biggest challenge about going into it?
It's August 2017. London. A rooftop. A gap between buildings. And a man who refuses to treat danger like a warning. Tom Cruise sprints at full speed. No CGI, no safety net, no hesitation. Just physics and intent. He jumps. For a fraction of a second, he's airborne. Not falling, flying. Until the edge catches him. The landing goes wrong. The kind of impact that breaks careers in an instant. Bone snaps. Ankle collapses.
Tom Cruise got hurt during a stunt while filming Mission Impossible 6. It happened in London yesterday.
Pain that should end everything. But he doesn't stop. He drags himself forward, finishes the shot, stands again. And when the crew rushes in, expecting collapse, he asks only one thing. Did we get it? Because this isn't just action. It's an obsession. And the question isn't what happened on that rooftop. It's what kind of man keeps choosing to run toward the fall, and built on pain. Let's talk about what Tom Cruise has done to his body. Not the glamorous version, not the red carpet version, the real version. The broken ankle in 2017. That's the one everyone knows. Mission Impossible. Fallout. He kept filming. He wore a specially designed boot that was hidden in his costume. He was back on set within weeks, running on a fracture that hadn't fully healed. Running? Always running. But that's just one chapter. During the filming of Mission Impossible 3, he tore a ligament performing a bridge stunt. During the making of The Last Samurai, he nearly took a sword to the neck during a fight sequence. The blade reportedly stopped less than an inch from his throat. During Mission Impossible, Rogue Nation, he strapped himself to the outside of a military cargo plane as it took off. No CGI, no trick photography. That was him, holding on with his hands, at altitude, with the wind ripping at his body like it was trying to peel him off. He's been slammed into walls. He's been dragged across concrete.
When the airplane took off, my feet are gonna come off. I'm hanging on the side of this. And the force of that wind, I mean, you see, I'm trying desperately.
He's had injuries to his ribs, his shoulders, his back, his knees. The kind of accumulated damage that doesn't show up in a single X-ray, but tells its story over decades. The kind of damage that whispers to you at 3 in the morning when you can't sleep because your joints won't stop aching. And here's what people don't see. Recovery at 30 is a different animal than recovery at 50. And recovery at 60 is a different conversation entirely. The body slows down. The cartilage wears thin. The muscles take longer to rebuild. Every injury now sits on top of the ghost of a previous injury. His body is a map of pain. And every year, the map gets more crowded. He knows this. He has to know this. And yet, he doesn't slow down. He doesn't hand the harness to a stunt double. He doesn't take the safe route, the smart route, the route that any doctor, any trainer, any rational human being would recommend. Instead, he learns to fly helicopters so he can do the aerial stunts himself. He holds his breath for over 6 minutes so he can film underwater sequences in a single take.
I've done a lot of underwater work, and Chris and I were on Edge of Tomorrow. We were shooting the underwater sequence.
He trains for months, sometimes a full year, for a single action sequence that will last 90 seconds on screen. This isn't dedication. Dedication has a ceiling. Dedication knows when to stop. This is something else. Something that looks like courage from the outside, but feels a lot more like compulsion from the inside. Like a man who has made a deal with pain. I'll take whatever you give me, as long as you never make me sit still. The body is breaking, but he keeps going. And if you want to understand why, you have to go back. Way back. before fame, before the money, before the smile that launched 1,000 magazine covers. You have to go back to the beginning. A childhood built on fear. Thomas Cruise. Mapother IV was not born into a movie. He was born into a war. His father, Thomas Cruise Mapother III, was, by most accounts, a deeply troubled man. An electrical engineer by profession, a bully by nature. The kind of father who didn't raise his children so much as rule them. Tom has described his father in interviews as a merchant of chaos. A man who would find your weakness and twist it. A man who made his son feel small. Not occasionally. Not in moments of frustration, but systematically. Deliberately. As a way of being. Imagine being a child in that house. You don't know when the next outburst is coming. You don't know what will set it off. You learn to read the room before you can read a book. You learn to be quiet, to be invisible, to take up as little space as possible because taking up space is dangerous. Because being noticed means being a target. And when the home isn't safe, the world outside isn't much better. Tom's family moved constantly. By the time he was 14, he had attended 15 different schools. 15. Think about that. Every few months, a new town, a new classroom, new faces that don't know your name and don't care to learn it, because you'll be gone before the semester ends anyway. You never get to be the kid with friends. You're always the new kid, the outsider, the one who sits alone at lunch and pretends he doesn't care. And there was something else. Something that made every new school a fresh humiliation. Tom Cruise is dyslexic. Severely dyslexic. In a classroom, the words on the page didn't behave. They scrambled. They rearranged themselves. They made him look stupid in front of kids who already saw him as a stranger. He's talked about the shame of being called on to read aloud and not being able to get through a sentence. The laughter. The looks. You put it all together. The abusive father. The constant moving. The poverty that often came with it. The learning disability that nobody understood or accommodated. And what you get is a childhood defined by a single feeling. Not enough. Not smart enough. Not strong enough. Not safe enough. Not loved enough. That feeling doesn't go away when you grow up. It doesn't go away when you get famous. It doesn't go away when you make $100 million, or when the whole world screams your name. It sits inside you like a stone. And everything you build on top of it, the career, the muscles, the perfect smile, the death-defying stunts, all of it is built on a foundation that still whispers late at night when nobody's watching, "You're not enough." And so, you run. Running as an escape. Maybe the real question isn't how Tom Cruise survives the stunts. Maybe the real question is what he's running from. Because when you look at his career, not just the movies, but the way he makes them, a pattern emerges. And it's not the pattern of a man who loves adventure. It's the pattern of a man who needs it. And Tom Cruise doesn't just act in his films, he commands them. In 1993, he co-founded Cruise/Wagner Productions with producer Paula Wagner. Not because he wanted a vanity credit, but because he wanted the keys to the machine. He bought the film rights to The Mission, impossible television series himself. That means no studio can make a Mission, impossible film without going through him. He's not just the star, he's the architect. And it goes deeper than business deals. On the set of The Mummy in 2017, reports from inside the production revealed that Cruise had taken near-total creative control, overriding director Alex Kurtzman on script decisions, camera choices, even the final cut. The supervising art director, Frank Walsh, described the shoot as a film of two halves, before Tom arrived and after. Once he walked on set, he became the authority. The crew followed him, not the director. At the Produced By conference, Cruise told an audience of producers that his obsession with control started on Top Gun in 1986. He demanded script consultation. He insisted on being in every meeting with producers Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer. He required marketing consultation. He was 24 years old. Most actors that age are grateful to be in the room. He was rewriting the room. This isn't perfectionism. Perfectionism is about quality. This is about control. When your childhood was chaos, when the ground beneath you could shift at any moment, when the people who were supposed to protect you were the ones hurting you, control becomes everything. If you can control the set, you can control the outcome. If you can control your body, you can control the pain. If you can control the stunt, you can control the danger. And the stunts, the real, physical, bone-breaking stunts, they serve a purpose that goes beyond entertainment. For Mission Impossible. Rogue Nation. Cruise trained with a professional freediving expert for weeks, so he could hold his breath for over 6 minutes underwater. 6 minutes. The average person taps out at 60 seconds. He did it so they could shoot an entire underwater heist sequence in a single, unbroken take. No cuts, no edits, no cheating. He told USA Today the breath holds reached 6 to 6.5 minutes during filming. And then, for Dead Reckoning Part 1, he rode a motorcycle off the edge of a cliff, a stunt that required over 500 hours of skydiving training just to execute safely. Think about that. 500 hours of preparation for a moment that lasts seconds on screen. That's not an actor chasing thrills. That's a man building a wall between himself and his own mind. One stunt at a time. When you're holding your breath at the bottom of a water tank with your lungs screaming, you don't think about anything else. There's no room for doubt, no room for fear, no room for the voice that says, "You're not enough." In that moment, the only thing that exists is your heartbeat, the pressure in your chest, and the absolute, undeniable proof that you are still alive. The stunts aren't reckless. They're medicine. They're the only thing that quiets the noise. And that's the trap. Because the relief is temporary. The high fades. The noise comes back. And so you need to go bigger, higher, faster, more dangerous. But you need to find the next cliff to ride off, the next plane to cling to, the next building to jump from. Not because you're not afraid of dying, but because you're more afraid of living. Quietly, slowly, without the roar of the engine to drown out your own thoughts. He keeps running. Love-loss cycle. If the stunts are an escape from fear, then the relationships are an escape from loneliness. And they follow the same pattern. Intense, all-consuming, and ultimately unsustainable. Mimi Rogers was the first wife. They married in 1987, when Tom was on the rise, risky business behind him, Top Gun making him a god, and the whole world opening up. Rogers was older, sophisticated, grounded. She introduced him to Scientology, which would become one of the defining forces of his life. Their marriage lasted 3 years. It ended quietly, each without public drama, but also without resolution, like a sentence that just trails off. Then came Nicole Kidman, and this one was different. This one looked like the real thing. They met on the set of Days of Thunder in 1990, both young, both beautiful, both burning with ambition. They adopted 2 children. They made films together. They built what looked, from every angle, like a golden life. It lasted 11 years. When it ended, in 2001, the reasons were murky. There were whispers about Scientology's role, about pressure, about control from outside forces. Kidman has spoken carefully about the pain of the divorce, about the loss.
We love what we have.
6 years after her divorce from Cruz, Nicole had all but given up on love.
About the children she raised who eventually grew distant from her. And Tom? Tom did what Tom always does. He kept moving. Katie Holmes came next. The courtship was public, and explosive. The famous couch-jumping moment on Oprah in 2005, when Tom Cruise, the most controlled man in Hollywood, seemed to lose all control. They married. They had a daughter, Suri. And then, in 2012, Katie Holmes filed for divorce. But she didn't just file. She executed a plan so carefully constructed, so quietly coordinated with lawyers and security, that by the time Tom knew what was happening, it was already done. She was afraid. That's what the reporting suggested. Not of Tom specifically, but of the system around him. The machinery, the church, the world he had built that was so tightly sealed that getting out felt like escaping a fortress. And Suri, his daughter, his child, reportedly grew up without him. The specifics are debated. The reasons are contested. But the images are clear. Year after year, he photographs of Katie and Suri in New York, walking to school, getting ice cream, living a life that Tom Cruise is not part of. 3 marriages, 3 endings. A daughter he may barely know. For a man who grew up without a father's love, who spent his childhood trying to earn approval he would never get. The loss of his own child must land in a place that no stunt, no box office record, no amount of applause can reach. Hope, then connection, then loss. Over and over. He keeps searching for the love he never had. And every time he finds something close, it slips away. Like trying to hold water in clenched fists. The tighter you grip, the faster it runs through. Success without peace. Here's what the world sees. They see a man who defied time, who at 60+ years old still looks like he could headline an action franchise, who smiles on red carpets and waves from premieres and flies his own helicopter to set because he can. Because that's who Tom Cruise is. Larger than life, untouchable, immortal. But strip all that away. Take away the cameras and the press junkets and the PR team and the private jets. What's left? A man in a very large house, alone, no wife, a complicated relationship with his children, a social circle that, by many accounts, is more institutional than personal. Built around the Church of Scientology, around work, around people who need him more than he needs them. He doesn't retire. He can't retire. He's talked about making Mission Impossible films into his 80s. Into his 80s. Not because the studio demands it. Not because the audience expects it. Because the alternative is unthinkable. The alternative is silence. And the alternative is a morning with nothing scheduled. A day with no script to memorize, no stunt to rehearse, no set to command. A day where the only company is his own thoughts. And those thoughts, the ones he's been out running since he was a boy hiding from his father, they're patient. They've been waiting a long time. You see it sometimes, in interviews, when the conversation takes an unexpected turn. When someone asks about his personal life, about his children, about loneliness, the smile stays. The charm doesn't waver. But the eyes, if you watch closely, the eyes go somewhere else for just a second. Somewhere deep. Somewhere that the cameras aren't meant to follow. He conquered Hollywood. He conquered the box office. He conquered gravity itself. But he never conquered the thing that mattered most: himself. There's a loneliness that comes with being the biggest star in the world that people don't understand. Because how can you be lonely when everyone knows your name? How can you be empty when your life is full of everything? But that's the cruel trick of fame. It gives you everything that looks like love, without any of the substance. The applause fades, the theater empties, the credits roll, and you're left standing in the dark, wondering if any of it meant anything.
I used to do stuff like I would just leave the house when I was 2 and just go for walks.
Wondering if anyone sees the person behind the character. Tom Cruise has spent 40 years being the most entertaining man on Earth. And the price, the real price, isn't the broken bones. It's the quiet. And so, the question lingers. Long after the rooftop, long after the cameras stop rolling, long after the applause fades into silence, Tom Cruise keeps running. Yet not just across buildings, not just through film sets, but through something far less visible and far more relentless. Because at some point, speed stops being escape and starts becoming identity. And when the credits finally do roll, when the last jump is made, the last stunt completed, the last impossible shot captured, what remains of the man who never learned how to stand still? Is he still in control of the motion? Or has the motion been controlling him all along? And the real question is this: when the running finally stops, who's left to meet the silence?